Okay, so you've brought us a really fascinating mix this time. I mean, we've got philosophy, personal growth guides, even fiction, and a joke writing guide. It's quite a spread.
Yeah, it definitely covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Seems to point towards, a broad curiosity about the human condition.
And looking through it all, there's this thread that really jumped out. Something super relevant right now, I think.
Mm.
It's this whole challenge of, well, navigating this world absolutely saturated with information, but where maybe the depth, the authenticity, it's questionable.
Ah, right.
We've sort of landed on calling it, for discussion's sake, navigating the age of AI slop.
AI slop. Yeah, that phrase kind of nails it, doesn't it? This feeling of just being swamped by content.
Exactly.
Content that's maybe, churned out fast, huge scale, but lacks that spark, that real insight,
Mhm.
that creative text piece you flagged.
Right.
It really echoes that anxiety, talking about transcripts of hopelessness from YouTube and of endless monetization.
Yeah, that line stood out.
It points to this worry that, quantity and clicks are just drowning out actual quality and genuine creativity online, driven by algorithms, profits.
Instead of real expression. Okay, so let's maybe start with this idea of abundance then. We saw that concept in infinite abundance, this idea of finite versus infinite resources.
Hmm.
Information today feels infinite, doesn't it? But is that really true for, like, the meaningful stuff, the knowledge that actually helps us?
That's a great question, a
Yeah.
really crucial distinction, I think. Because, yeah, the sheer volume of data, of content,
Yeah,
it seems endless, limitless.
totally.
But our ability to actually process it, to understand it properly, integrate it, that's definitely finite.
Right, our bandwidth.
And that infinite abundance text, it also talks about needing conscious alignment to really experience abundance, which kind of suggests that just passively soaking up endless info might actually work against finding what matters.
Huh. So does the feeling of infinite information almost devalue it, like make us less likely to really dig into any one thing?
It could, yeah. Maybe it paradoxically makes us engage less deeply. And then there's the prosperity consciousness stuff.
Right, that one emphasizes abundance coming from inside, an internal consciousness of prosperity.
Exactly.
So how do we cultivate that inner sense of, I don't know, intellectual richness, confidence in our own judgment
Yeah.
when we're swimming in this external sea of potentially, well, shallow AI stuff?
Yeah, it's like an internal defense against this external flood, isn't it?
Totally.
It's interesting, that 40-day prosperity plan, it advises focusing on the source of abundance, not just, the effect like getting money.
Okay.
So if we apply that to knowledge, maybe it means we need to actively seek out the origins of good thinking. Solid research, different viewpoints, critical thought.
Rather than just passively scrolling through whatever the algorithm feeds us, focusing on the wellspring, not just the stream.
Precisely. Valuing where the genuine understanding comes from.
And it's fascinating. Both those prosperity sources mention keeping the process private at first to avoid ego traps trying to impress people.
Right, and that line about how it is not necessary for anyone to believe you will receive your desire but you.
Yes. That feels so connected to building critical thinking. It's like you have to cultivate that inner confidence, that ability to find meaning for yourself. It can't depend on likes or trends or what everyone else thinks.
Exactly. It's about building your own compass, right? Your
Yeah.
own way of evaluating information that isn't just swayed by every new thing that pops up online. Requires some self-reliance,
Yeah.
introspection.
Which brings us squarely to this worry about critical thinking getting eroded. It's hard not to think of Animal Farm here.
Oh, absolutely.
The way information gets twisted, narratives get controlled, inconvenient facts just disappear under a pile of, well, other stuff.
Hmm.
And the potential for AI to create convincing but totally false
Mhm.
stories at massive scale. It feels like Napoleon's propaganda machine on steroids.
It really does. Orwell's warning about how easily truth gets warped is, yeah, incredibly potent today. The speed and volume AI brings just raises the stakes immensely.
Makes it so much harder to tell what's real when the fake stuff can look so good, be everywhere.
And then you think about 1984, the Ministry of Love.
Ugh. Yes. Room 101.
Its power to dig into Winston's deepest fears and manipulate him. It makes you wonder about the maybe subtler ways algorithms shape us now.
Right. It's not necessarily overt torture, but this constant exposure to super personalized content. Are we being nudged, influenced in ways we don't even realize?
Well, the algorithms are designed to keep us hooked.
Right.
They learn what pushes our buttons. And while maybe not as sinister as the Ministry of Love, they can definitely create those filter bubbles,
Echo chambers, yeah.
limiting what we see, reinforcing biases. It feels comfortable, sure, but it can also be intellectually, well, suffocating. Stops us seeing other views, questioning ourselves.
So how much are our thoughts actually our own in this environment? It's a bit chilling.
It is. And remember Winston's realization that his suspicions were often based on almost nothing.
Yeah, a flash of the eyes, a single equivocal remark, his own secret imaginings.
It really drives home the danger of jumping to conclusions without solid proof.
Hmm.
Especially now, when misinformation spreads like wildfire, verification is just critical.
Absolutely. It's so easy to find something online that confirms what we already think, even if it's rubbish.
Yeah.
We need that intellectual humility Winston lacked at times, willing to question ourselves, look for opposing evidence.
Resist the comfort of the echo chamber.
Okay, slight pivot, but connected. That joke structure guide.
Yes. An unexpected source.
It talks about how humor often relies on broken assumptions, right? Subverting expectations. And got me thinking, could AI content exploit that principle more seriously? Could it build narratives that seem logical but subtly lead us to wrong conclusions by messing with our assumptions?
That's a really sharp connection.
Yeah.
Humor flips expectations for a laughs.
Yeah.
But if AI learns to subtly manipulate those expectations in, say, how we view current events or different groups.
The impact on critical thinking could be huge.
Exactly. It means we need to be really aware of the underlying assumptions in the information we consume, even if it feels right intuitively.
Okay, so shifting focus a bit. How do we foster actual meaning? Real, authentic expression in this kind of environment?
Yeah, that's the flip side.
The creative text source contrasts that pressure for monetization, for clicks, with the idea of karuna from Zen.
Right, compassion affirming the suchness of the world from Alan Watts.
It feels like two completely different motivations for creating something. One driven by external validation and money, the other by something deeper.
Absolutely. When the main goal is just getting eyeballs or cash, the depth, the authenticity, it's at risk, isn't it? Watts' karuna implies a connection, a desire to express something genuine from that connection, not just chasing metrics. It's about intent.
And that Zen idea of direct pointing, pointing to the suchness of the nonverbal world, cutting through intellectual noise to get to something real. How could we use that to sift the meaningful stuff from the AI slop? It feels like we need a way to bypass the chatter.
Well, direct pointing pushes us beyond just words and concepts towards direct experience. So maybe applied to information, it means be more mindful.
How so?
Like asking ourselves, does this resonate with my actual experience? Does it feel grounded? Or is it just abstract noise? Developing almost an intuition for what feels genuine.
I like that. And the creative text also floated the idea of art hubs.
Yes. Potential spaces for real creativity, real community. Away from the constant pressure to monetize or game the algorithm.
That sounds like a concrete way to nurture something more authentic.
Definitely. Creating intentional spaces, physical or online, where the focus is genuine dialogue, collaboration, intrinsic satisfaction. That could be vital, a counterweight to the transactional online world.
And that Whitman poem, An Ended Day, wow.
Beautiful, isn't it?
He says the sounds at sunset are more penetrating and sweeter. They seem to touch the soul. He contrasts them with the sunrise sounds, which are maybe joyous and stronger, but more superficial. It struck me as a perfect analogy for, fleeting online trends versus deeper meaning. The loud, immediate stuff grabs attention, but the quieter, more resonant stuff, that takes time.
That's a fantastic analogy. The immediate often wins the attention battle, yeah.
Yeah.
But real meaning often needs that quieter, more reflective space.
Yeah.
So maybe finding meaning today requires us to intentionally carve out time for slower, deeper engagement.
Makes sense. Okay, finally, let's talk collective action. Ways forward together. Gramsci's prison notebooks.
Right, philosophy is a concrete social activity.
Yeah, and Marxism as a collective effort to spread critical intellectual activity more widely. How can we apply that? This idea of a shared intellectual project to build collective critical thinking skills, to resist manipulation together. The scale seems too big for just individual effort.
Gramsci's point about the social nature of thinking is spot on here, I think. Building societal resilience. It has to be collective.
So things like
accessible education, robust media literacy programs for everyone, fostering genuinely open public discussion. It's about building a whole culture where questioning, analyzing, looking at different angles is the norm, valued by everyone.
And Dhammapada speaks about people with little dust in their eyes. who can understand the truth if they just hear it.
Mhm.
So how do we create those hearing spaces? Places for real discourse,
Yeah.
reliable info sharing, amidst all the digital shouting. It's not just putting good info out there, right? People need to be able to receive it.
Yeah, creating those spaces means building trust in reliable sources first. It means designing online platforms that actually prioritize thoughtful interaction, not just raw engagement numbers. Fostering respect across different views, making it easier to find stuff that's actually true and helps understanding.
We also had that slightly unusual bit in the Divine Cosmos, the pyramid experiment, salt and pepper affecting prisoner behavior.
Oh, yes, that was. Certainly speculative.
Definitely approach with caution. But it did make me wonder, even if that specific claim is out there, does it point to the idea that intentionally shaping our environments, maybe even our digital ones, could nudge us towards more positive, more critical mindsets?
Well, the general idea that our surroundings influence us is pretty well established, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the takeaway for the digital world is being more conscious of the online spaces we choose to be in.
Actively seeking out places that encourage good discussion.
Yeah, and maybe even pushing for platforms to be designed differently, prioritizing quality interaction.
And finally, Baldwin, the fire next time. His point about self-definition being essential for Black people.
A powerful point.
It really connects to this whole AI slop navigation challenge, doesn't it? In a world where our views can be so easily swayed, that ability to define our own values, articulate our own understanding, it feels vital.
Absolutely crucial.
Because if we don't define ourselves, the algorithms will. Or maybe, powerful interests with their own agendas will.
Baldwin highlights that need for agency, for self-determination against external forces. And in today's information landscape, being able to critically assess narratives, state your own values, resist just passively accepting packaged views, it's fundamental, actively shaping your own understanding.
It's definitely clear that figuring out how to handle this flood of information, this potential AI slop, is, well, it's a huge task. But the fact that you're asking these questions, bringing these sources together, shows how important it is to seek that clarity, that meaning.
Absolutely. The need for critical thinking, for genuine meaning, for finding collective solutions, it's never been more pressing, really.
So maybe a final thought to leave with everyone listening. In this world increasingly shaped by code, by algorithms, maybe influenced by, well, powerful agendas,
Hmm.
how can we individually and together cultivate that inner vision we talked about, that intellectual, maybe spiritual prosperity? How do we build the collective will to make a more meaningful, more critically aware world for everybody?
How do we move past the potential dominance of AI slop towards a shared grasp of what actually matters?
Big questions. It takes ongoing vigilance, right?
Yeah.
Committing to learning, questioning.
And being willing to talk, to act together?
We really encourage everyone listening to think about these sources, these ideas. How can the principles of critical thinking, finding real meaning, and working together apply in your own lives, your own communities?
It's definitely an ongoing exploration.
Yeah.
Your engagement, your thinking, that's what really counts.